I think she'll be there with me at the end of the day. Well, on that note, good opportunity now that it is the top of the hour for us to get started with today's TMC Connect web broadcast titled Blends LO Toolkit, Unifying Borrower and LO Collaboration, always an important topic. And I'm Tom Gucci with the Mortgage Collaborative. And just after 3 o'clock, for those joining us on the East Coast, just hitting the lunch hour for our friends on the West Coast. We thank everybody for joining in today. Just a couple quick housekeeping items. I remind attendees, continue to check out TMC's member event calendar on our website, and you can see the latest docket of upcoming TMC Connect web broadcasts. And then specific to today's discussion, whether you've dialed in or you're connected via your computer, all lines have been muted. And that's just only just to avoid any background noise in your area so everybody can hear clearly. That said, we really want these discussions to be interactive. And today is going to be, a great example of that. Just from the presentation side from Blend, you're going to see have some great back and forth, some supporting slide content, as well as getting to see live in the platform some of the power behind the LO Toolkit. So any questions, comments, general inquiries that you have, feel free to drop those in either the Zoom chat or the Q&A functions, both of which are at the bottom of your menu screen. And I'll be able to verbalize those on your behalf with our discussion leaders towards the end of today's call. Discussion is going to be recorded too, so it will be available for playback. Make sure to get you an access of the copy of the deck as well as the recording, whether for YouTube or for our podcast channels, and a follow-up email that all our registrants and attendees will get. So diving into today's discussion, this is actually a little bit of a continuation of a Tech Talk interview that I conducted with Nico just a couple weeks ago. And we were kind of diving into how lenders can accelerate the digital transformation of their origination processes, especially as we're heading back into a more purchase-centric marketplace. And based off some of the stats and metrics Nico provided from some of the industry economists, we're not going back anytime soon on a refi-heavy marketplace. So we spent some time on that discussion, kind of talking through strategies to leverage automation for a more efficient, kind of high-touch origination process, as well as different strategies for the originators to be as efficient as possible in the application process. So as I mentioned, we've got longtime preferred partner Blend leading today's discussion, highlighting one of their newest innovations designed to both foster productivity and high-quality interactivity between the LO and the borrower while removing some barriers and inefficiencies in the loan officer workflow, and most importantly, keeping your originators out in the field without losing touch of their loans and process or communication with their clients. So on that note, I want to introduce our discussion leaders today. As I mentioned, got Nico Pavlov, Product Marketing Manager at Blend with us, as well as Ryan Gum, Solutions Engineer, who is going to be guiding us through some demonstration pieces over the portion of the call on Blend's LO Toolkit. So first off, hat tip to both you gentlemen for the lush full beards you got rocking today. Making my face feel a little naked here, but before I digress further, I'm going to turn it over to Nico. We can jump right into today's discussion.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you may have missed the memo that we sent out to you about the beard. But yeah, no, it's good to see you again, Tom. It's good to be back. I really enjoyed the conversation that we had a couple weeks back. And so to the audience, definitely if you didn't get a chance to see it, definitely check it out. And I'll share my screen here as I'm talking, but one of the key areas that we touched on a couple weeks back was that we talked about what are the current trends in the market, how did we get there, where are we going, and how does technology overlay in that realm. And one of the questions that you asked me, Tom, was okay, where do we have to invest based off of these trends? Where should we be investing right now from a technology perspective? And we had a conversation around how we're moving towards a purchase market. 2022 is estimated to be a purchase first market. And so being super crisp on executing pre-approval letters, being super crisp on executing for our realtor and builder partners is going to be critical. We have to invest in our loan officer tooling and also in loan officer mobility, mobile capabilities. And so this is really what we're going to be focusing on in this session and really diving in deeper and demoing that. So hopefully that sounds pretty exciting to everyone here. Cool. So let's just jump right in. So mortgage is hard. I think that this slide really does a good job of just encapsulating all of the craziness that we have to deal with in getting a loan from that initial consultation all the way to close. And it's definitely something that we all sort of live with in the mortgage industry. And the reason why there's all this complexity is because we have all of these different workflows, we have all these different requirements, we have all these different guidelines that can all be different based off of the product types. So is it a Fannie, Freddie, FHA, jumbo versus conforming, property type differences, state level differences, occupancy. We could LTV, FICO, we could go on forever here with all the different nuances that come into play here. And one of the things also is that this is dynamic. You can't just lock yourself in an office or or a library or something and just learn it and master it and then be done. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. And so the last thing that we would want is our loan officers to have to spend all their bandwidth having to manage this overhead instead of focusing on their business. And so the question is, how can we leverage technology? How can we put the right tools in place that abstracts away all of this complexity and this sort of manual overhead, if you will, and instead enables our loan officers to focus on building lasting relationships, focus on executing their pipeline, and ultimately being the trusted advisors that we want them to be. And so this is a big component and a lot of the driver of how, pushing our mortgage strategy. And so there's three key pillars to our mortgage strategy. The first one is delivering a world-class experience, not only for our lender partners, but enabling our lender partners to deliver that world-class experience to their customers, the borrower. And so in this category, there's three subcategories. There's the borrower experience, the lender experience, and the processing and fulfillment experience. And our goal here is to consistently deliver a 10x experience. The second pillar here is make Blend the new home for loan officers. And so the line between the POS and other online and offline systems is blurring. It's starting to sort of fade away. And what we're seeing is that loan officers really want to be able to conduct all of their business in one system. And so at Blend, we are hyper focused on enabling loan officers to complete all of their workflows, all of their tasks within Blend. And this is really important for driving their productivity and enabling them to be successful. And this is a big piece of what we're really going to dive into in this session and really, hone in on exactly what we mean with some of that tooling. And then the third component is that, Tom, we talked about this in 2 weeks ago, where there's been a ton of innovation within the mortgage space, but a lot of the innovation is point solutions that aren't meant necessarily to be interconnected. And so our view at Blend is really to build a solution that encapsulates the entire mortgage lifecycle and pull in all these different integrations, as well as make one solution interconnect to the other. So this is our view, and I think it's really important from a strategic perspective. And so if we double down on the loan officer piece, the way we view it is that the loan officer is the center of the universe. And we really want to make them successful from the pre-application lead all the way to closing. And not only make those workflows successful, but also provide them the technology that they need, such as AI and automation, communication and collaboration, insights and analytics, and also looking at the broader branch ecosystem of making them successful. And so what we're going to cover here in today's demos are we're going to take a full sort of life cycle, if you will. We're going to start top of the funnel in that initial conversation between borrower and loan officer. Then we're going to see how we can seamlessly move into the application intake process and complete that application. Once we have that application, we'll then transition and talk about, okay, well, what do we do now? Well, we have BLO toolkit, which enables loan officers to seamlessly structure the loan. And then we'll also showcase how in a mobile environment, we can also we can manage our business on the go. So that's sort of the game plan here, and the path that we're going to walk through in this demo. So first off, let's talk about loan scenarios. So full disclosure here, I'm going to be completely honest. I love loan scenarios. It's one of my favorite products here. So if you hear a little bit of some overexcitement, you know why. But I think the reason why I love this product is because, you know, I'm an ex product and pricing guy, and I love talking rate, price, quotes, and I'm going through the mortgage process. Or I've been going through it recently, and I think I spent maybe, you know, a good amount of time speaking to over 20 different lenders. And I think part of it is just I get a kick out of talking, you know, all the different rates and just kind of drilling everybody on the different programs. But it was really eye-opening to me that there were some loan officers, for example, that would take my information, leave, and then they would tell me, hey, I'll get back to you with that quote. And I would leave the experience. And by the time they called me 3-4 hours later, I was already 3 or 4 loan officers deep next in line. And so that's what we want to avoid. We really want to be able to bring that conversation and facilitate the product pricing and rate conversation within that experience and never let the borrower leave. And so this is really what loan scenarios really, I think, accelerates or, you know, really showcases its power, is that it really facilitates that conversation between borrower and loan officer, but it also structures it so that it makes sense how we progress through being able to compare the different products. And so you can instantly generate a comparison side by side. You can work with the borrower to explain the differences. And then when the borrower ultimately wants to move with one scenario versus another, it's nothing more than a click of a button. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan. And Ryan, show us the power here with loan scenarios.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. And I appreciate you setting that up. I think I'm going to need you to unshare your screen, and then I'll be able to share mine.
And Ryan, maybe as we start here, maybe just set the context of where we are in the funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like Nico was saying, you know, as a loan officer, and I'm going to be playing our loan officer today on this demo. If I have a borrower on the phone who's interested in looking at some rates, I want to be able to get that to them immediately. But not only tell them what the current rates are, but also compare some different options for them live, which overall creates a better conversation and is going to lead to that borrower wanting to stick with me. So right now, let's say that a borrower has called in. I'm on the phone with them. They're asking to see some rates. You can see right here, we are in the Blend lender portal. This is the pipeline view where, as a loan officer, I can see all the different loans that I'm currently working on. And this borrower is asked to see some rates. So I'm going to use our check rates function up at the top right of the screen. This was designed to allow me to quickly enter in some key pieces of information so that I can get that borrower the rates in those loan scenarios for them. But again, I also want to make sure I'm building a relationship with this borrower. So this allows me to kind of quickly go through, have a good conversation, and build that relationship while filling out these key pieces of information right here. And so once I've done this, that's going to allow me to immediately go in and see those scenarios side by side. And so this scenarios function is going to be powered by an integration to a pricing engine through Blend. So I can see quickly all of the different scenarios that that borrower is eligible for based on those pieces of information I input previously. And I'll go ahead and quickly pick a few different options for them. And you'll see I'm instantly able to compare these different scenarios for the borrower. So I can walk them through what they're eligible for, what their monthly payments would be looking like, closing costs, things like that. And it's really easy. If I wanted to, I could also duplicate one of these right here and also run through some different down payment scenarios with them as well. But again, the goal here is facilitate a great conversation with that borrower while you have them on the phone. Nico, is there anything else you wanted to add on this? I know you're saying it's one of your favorite features.
Well, the other thing that, and I know I did this to a bunch of the loan officers that I was talking to, and I think that one of the key things that this saves you from is being drowned out by the what ifs, right? Like, what if I do this? What if I lower my down payment? What if I increase it? What if I change to, what if I buy down my rate? And so the last thing you want to do is have to run back into sort of the LOS and have to change all those parameters, and it's highly inefficient. So definitely, I think this solves the what ifs.
Definitely. All right, so we've got some of these here. I'm going to pick one of these scenarios for my borrower. They liked what they heard, so they're ready to move forward and start an application. I'm going to take down their information and actually create a new loan here in Blend, which takes us into the loan application screen. So while I have the borrower on the phone, if I want to, I could go through in this loan information section and continue filling out the application on their behalf. And it's super easy to tab through the different sections here and fill out the full 1003. But I'm a busy loan officer and I want to enable my borrower to go through and provide this information, so I don't have to be spending all my time just taking down data. So at the top right, you'll see I can invite this borrower into an application. What this is going to do is it's going to create an email, which I can customize if I'd like to, and send over to this borrower into their email inbox, which takes us to the next segment of this, which is application intake. All right, Nico, I'll pass back to you for that.
Sure. Awesome. Cool. So we just saw how we were able to sort of top of the funnel facilitate that early stage conversation around product pricing. Do I qualify? What are some of my options? And then we saw Ryan easily send a link to the borrower to then take the application, or the link, the invitation to the application, to get started and start building that out. And so let's now jump into our app intake and showcase some of the key capabilities of that. And so, any strong digital mortgage has to start with a strong digital application intake. And at Blend, this is one of our, I would say, most iterated upon products. We have relentlessly optimized this to drive customer acquisition, to drive the experience, to remove friction, and really optimize not only from a customer acquisition perspective, but really also to optimize for that omni-channel presence. And with components like Copilot, the loan officer and borrower can share screens and help troubleshoot if the borrower is stuck, provide that high tech and high touch experience, while also being able to connect their assets, for example, enables us to take a raw lead and start building that lead into a high intent, high quality loan application. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to you, Ryan, to take us through and show us the power here.
Yep. One thing that I hear constantly when I talk to lenders regularly is they want to meet their borrowers where they are. And that's really what comes down to that omni-channel experience. If borrowers want to have a conversation on the phone, let's enable loan officers to do that. But if borrowers want to start an application online, we can also enable that. Or maybe it's a combination of each, right? So like we're showing you here today, borrower started with a conversation over the phone with the loan officer, but they're then going to receive an email invitation in their inbox, like we showed that, sending that out. So they can pick this up whenever it's convenient for that borrower and continue their application wherever they left off with that loan officer. And so this borrower could pick this up while they're on their computer. An emblem, we'll just say, is the fictitious lender that we're using today for that demo. So I'm a loan officer at Emblem Mortgage. And so while the borrower could do this on their computer, we want to show just how easy it is. So we're actually going to have this borrower go through while they're on their phone. And so from their email, they'll be prompted to create a password so that they can log back in to Blend later on. Blend's going to act as that single hub for this borrower throughout their origination process. So not just for the 1003, but also for completing condition requests, for signing disclosures, even for closing their loan, can all be with that single login in this single portal. They're going to have that contact information for me throughout this process if they need to reach out and get me help. And we absolutely want to enable that. This is supposed to be very self-serve. You'll see borrowers' information is already there because I took that down as a loan officer, making it easier for them to go through this on their own. So again, we want to make this as self-serve for them as possible, especially for those people that are busy during the day and need to do this outside of business hours. What I will say though is, while we want to make this easy for borrowers to do on their own, at any point, if as a loan officer, if I want to guide my borrower through this application, Blend has a feature called co-piloting, which will allow me to do that. So I'm going to shrink the screen down here to the left as the borrower. On the right side, we have that loan officer portal. So I can be here, whether it's on the phone with my borrower, I want to guide them through the application at the same time. I can click into this co-pilot function right here. So you'll see I'm instantly able to see the exact same screen as my borrower in real time. So whether it's providing help to them if they get stuck, or it's just guiding them through the application experience, you can see as the borrower goes through and starts clicking through this application, my screen's going to advance as well, and vice versa. So we can really create this collaborative experience between loan officers and their borrowers. So as the borrower goes through, we're not going to save you all the full demo of going through the borrower experience, although for any lender that is interested in taking a look at that, feel free to reach out to Blend. We're happy to show you what that looks like. But for that, let's get back to the rest of the LO toolkit. So I'll pass it back to you, Nico.
Cool. That was pretty cool that even if the borrower's on the mobile phone, we can still track them through Copilot. The loan officer can still tag along, even if they're on the desktop version. Very cool. Okay. So let's jump in here to the LO toolkit now. And so we saw how we started top of the funnel with loan scenarios. We seamlessly then moved, Ryan shot over that invitation to the borrower to complete the application and the application intake. We saw the borrowers navigate through on their mobile phone, run into some problems. The loan officer jumped in, troubleshot that, completed the application. So now we have a full application. So now let's look at the LO toolkit and how we have some of the tools necessary to structure that loan seamlessly here. Okay. Cool. So so loan officers traditionally spend way too much time manufacturing loans, and we see sort of this mutually exclusive relationship between loan advisory and loan manufacturing, where we spend far too much time manufacturing, and the tools that we're using are not really designed for advisory and for loan officer productivity. And then on the flip side, some of the tools that we have on the advisory side really aren't meant to help streamline that manufacturing. And so if we were, to take a step back and redesign this, process from the ground up, what would it look like? And in this world, we would want to merge these two things. What if we could, as we're advising the borrower, we're also manufacturing the loan seamlessly without having to disconnect from the experience and go back into the ivory tower and start building. This would enable us to unify the experience, mirror how loan officers and consumers, borrowers are interacting. By doing that, we would be able to surface the right tasks at the right time, at the right place to drive productivity. By bringing all of these tasks up front and overlaying technology, we would be able to build automation into the processes and then provide some consistency of the data quality, which would then open up our path to close. And so that's exactly how we built, and the reason why we built the LO Toolkit. It's really meant to facilitate all the key workflows across the mortgage loan process for the loan officer, optimized for efficiency and also for enabling them to be the trusted advisors that we want them to be. And the other key thing is that it really scales in any market environment, whether you're in a surge environment, in a bear market, the tooling will enable you to scale to that environment. And so with that, Ryan, let's jump in and show how we're using the Yellow Toolkit to navigate the structuring.
Yep, absolutely. So again, it comes down to giving one single spot to loan officers to do all these functions that they need to do, right? So we touched on how we can go and take an application, invite a borrower. I also want to just orient us quickly. Some of the other things that we can do here, right? So on the left side of the screen, you'll notice this credit modal where we could pull credit for this borrower. We already had that done. We've also already selected a product for this borrower earlier when we went to the scenarios section. So at this point, I now want to start structuring this loan a little bit. And over on the right side of the screen, you'll see we have this LTV and DTI calculator. Clicking into the monthly debts, we can immediately see any liabilities for this borrower that were pulled in from that credit report. I could go in and quickly mark that the borrower is going to pay one of these off at close, working with them to ensure that they get the best rate and are most qualified for the loan that they're interested in. As well, we have this other section below, the details of the transaction on the right side. Here, I really want to make sure that my borrower has cash to close, and so that I can educate them on how much cash they're going to need to close this loan. Through the pricing engine integration, we can pull in first-party fees, and also Blend integrates with third-party fee engines such as Closing Corp, allowing me to pull in live fees at this point. And I think every loan officer knows how important it is to get live and accurate fee information for their borrowers. So again, they have that accurate amount of cash they're gonna need to close. So we can make any edits here if we'd like to, but really I wanna educate my borrower on what sort of costs they're gonna be looking at. And so using the Blend loan cost worksheet, I can actually send out this cost breakdown, which you're gonna see right here. As you can see, borrower can understand their cash to close, monthly payments, as well as a breakdown of what those costs include. And so at any time I can go ahead and send this out to the borrower. They'll get an email and they'll also just show up in their Blend portal. All right, so now we've done that, right? The goal here is to get a pre-approval letter because this borrower is looking to buy some houses and they're out shopping right now. But first, I need to run AUS. You can see here we can run both the DU and LPA, but I'm going to go ahead and actually run both of them at this point. Potentially look for some property inspection waivers or anything like that to kind of speed up this process. And so you can see here we have our result back from DU. If I want to, I can download my results and actually dive in a little deeper, take a look at those right here. And now I'm going to send out that pre-approval letter to my borrower. So we can see we can adjust the amount down if we need to do that. As well, my borrower has selected a realtor. So if they've entered their information in Blend and provided consent to share status with that realtor, they're going to be able to actually see the borrower's status in their Blend application. We could also send a copy of this pre-approval letter to that real estate agent as well. And if they have the Blend Realtor mobile app, they can actually adjust that letter on the go to regenerate it for their borrower if they're out shopping together. But for now, we're just going to send this over to Homer so that he has that to go shop for some houses later today. And we'll quickly take a look at that letter before I pass things back over to Nico. All right, Nico, back to you so we can touch on the last piece of our demo.
Nice. All right, so I got my pre-approval letter. So we saw how we navigated through from top of the funnel, we took the application, we just structured the loan, and we shot over a pre-approval letter to the borrower. Now let's take a look at how do we manage our business on the go. We're not always behind the desk. We're not always sort of in that ivory tower. We also have to be able to manage things out in the field. And so let's jump in and see how this plays out here. And so the goal of our LO mobile product really is to enable loan officers to grow and manage their business from anywhere. And it's really meant to be parity with a lot of the LO toolkit components and the key things that you need when you're out in the field in order to drive LO productivity, access your pipeline on the go, even able to take a new loan application, a fresh lead for someone that you may have met at an open house or from a referral. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Ryan, and then let's see how we can manage it on the go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every loan officer is always busy, always on the go. That's especially important to be able to have all these tools and all these functions we were showing you from the palm of our hand. So as a loan officer, let's say it's the next day that or the rest of our demo. I'm at lunch, I'm out on the go meeting with some other clients, and I suddenly get a text from Homer saying that he needs a new pre-approval letter. So you can see that text right here. Homer reaches out to me, letting me know that they're going to check out another property later that day. And they need a quick pre-approval letter for a lower amount because this house is cheaper than the first one that they looked at. So instead of having to go back to the office and generate a new letter, I can quickly send out a new one to Homer from here. So that takes us right into the Blend LO mobile app. This is a place where I can manage my pipeline from the palm of my hand, view the different borrowers I'm working with, just like the Blend desktop view. Clicking into Homer's application, right, we can see in the application section, if I wanted to, I could go through all those functions I just showed on the desktop. But you can see here that we have all this information, and by clicking on that pre-approval section in the middle, I can go in here and actually adjust the amount down. So he told me he's looking at a house that costs $430,000. Let's go ahead and adjust that for him right here. And now I'm going to send out a new letter. So just like that, Homer's going to have a new pre-approval letter in hand and is able to go and competitively shop for that new house that he's looking at. So last piece, just to show you all some of the other things that are available in the Blend LO mobile app. While I'm in here, I also noticed that I have some disclosures I need to sign. So we sent out disclosures from the LOS to the borrower in Blend, and I can actually come in here quickly and sign those right from my phone. So again, while I'm on the go, any of those functions that I need to do that are time sensitive, I can quickly handle those without having to go back to the office and get on my computer. So you'll see we're taken directly into DocuSign. I'll go ahead and sign that disclosure that I needed to sign right there and finish. And now I can leave that as well. So just to wrap up here and to kind of summarize what we've shown you, again, the Blend Loan Officer mobile app really allows for me as an LO to be on the go, be meeting folks, be doing whatever I might need to do on a daily basis, but still accomplish all the tasks I need to do. I can do that all from my phone with the Blend LO mobile app.
Yeah, Ryan, and especially in this type of a market where, it's very competitive, borrowers need, they're looking at several different houses and they need an adjustment to the pre-approval letter. It's critical to be able to have that functionality, and you're not always behind a desk, right, ready to fire those things off. So having that capability is really important.
Great.
Very cool. Well, Tom, that wraps us up here from our journey of the demo. I don't know if there's questions.
Perfect segue. Ryan, Nico, thank you so much for going through all that. I be honest, I was kind of taken back to just the mobile display in particular, and just kind of the ease of use and the visual appeal. It makes it easy for someone in my age, as a late millennial, early Gen X, or early Gen X, or a boomer, whatever you have. I mean, if you're familiar with your mobile device, you're going to be able to really fly through that Blend LO mobile app to get some questions I have here, but I want to remind our audience now is time too. Any questions you have, feel free to drop them in the chat. or the Q&A function. And I'll offer up a quick plug here too. We were talking, our COO, Rich Rabinski, actually just purchased a house, and the lender that he went through, I won't disclose who they were, but the application was white labeled through Blend, and he was blown away just by how easy the app, just the whole process was from a borrower perspective. It's been a few years since his last home purchase, and just couldn't have enough good things to say about how easy and simplified it was to be able to provide any conditions, documentation, and keep the loan file flowing. A couple questions here come in. Quick comment: love the mobile app, very clean, ease of use. Can the LO create the custom loan scenario options that you showed from their phone as well as from their desktop?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at this time, the loan scenarios are only available on the desktop view, but as Blend develops this feature, one of the things we have on our roadmap is to be able to enable loan officers to do that from their phone as well. Because like Nico was saying, our goal is to have parity between the desktop and mobile app. So we absolutely are working towards making that available as well.
That's awesome. A question here on the autosave functionality. Does that apply? Obviously, you showed it in the application, but does it also apply through e-signing or through completion of conditions if borrower diverts to another application or has to walk away from their phone a minute before completing given page they're on?
Yeah, absolutely. So Blend's going to save that borrower's progress wherever they are and wherever they drop off. So anytime that they come and they log back in, again, it could be from their phone, maybe they pick back up later on their computer, we'll put them back right where they left off, no matter where that is. It's in the application, completing conditions, signing documents. They never have to worry about getting lost.
And similar question on the Copilot side, which is awesome, by the way, to be able to sit there, in synchronization with your client and kind of walk them through and see what they're seeing through their phone. Does that Copilot also work, say, through e-sign disclosure process, or like if they're having any challenges uploading conditions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see how creative loan officers get using that Copilot function in order to help out their borrowers. And so that's available at any point through this loan lifecycle. One area we've seen it, with lenders that are using Blend's eClose solution is actually to go through and review closing documents digitally with borrowers in real time. So there's a lot of power there, and it's pretty cool to see which ways loan officers take it.
Yeah, I have to imagine too, that could be a great referral or recruitment tool for originators. If you've got maybe a first-time home buyer or somebody who's kind of skittish about the process, being able to display that functionality right from their phone or computer and say, hey, I can sit here and walk directly through you with this process at any point. You're not alone. Or if we're on the phone, I'll be able to see what you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And that's why I think that technology doesn't need to remove the human touch, right? Technology should be pushing us to have a better high tech, but a high touch experience. And I think Copilot is an easy example to point to.
Yeah, I totally agree, Nico. We kind of talked about this on our last discussion, and that technology should be able to enable the human element in creating that high touch environment and only enhance the experience as opposed to being that replacement. I think of through the pre-approval letter you guys displayed how awesome that is, that you can loop in the realtor if they're signed into the Blend portal as well, especially right now. I mean, you guys probably used to it in the San Francisco market. It's always a hot one as far as homes coming off the market as soon as they go on it. But I know a lot of us are experiencing across the country right now in this competitive purchase market, being able to have that seamless communication with the realtor on a pre-approval. For the example that you use, you're going to, look at a different property same day and you're going to need adjustment on that amount. That could be the key to winning the offer on a home when there's so many competitive bids out there right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, can't agree more.
So reminder audience, any questions you've got, drop them in the chat Q&A function. I'll go ahead and verbalize them for Nico and Ryan. Got a couple more here. Do Blend's existing tech stack integrations plug in and help power the comparative loan scenario tools? You mentioned the PPE tools in particular, as well as the, I believe it was the fee generation. But just an opportunity, I think if there was any other kind of tech stack plugins in the origination process that also play into the toolkit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just, to kind of give you all an idea for how Blend thinks about this, we kind of see ourselves as that hub or engagement layer for loan officers and borrowers. And we want to integrate in with all of a lender's existing tech stack, right? So that could be a pricing engine, credit, AUS, fee engine, and of course the loan origination system, which is going to be a big piece of this. And so Blend has a wide variety of out-of-the-box integrations from all of the different customers we work with. And also have APIs to integrate in with new systems as that comes up as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. That's probably early in the game here for this question, but wondering what you may be seeing already as far as performance for either like increased productivity of the LOs as far as loans closed or time saving per application on a loan file.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
you want to take this one? No, okay. That's all you.
So what we've seen is that Blend powered loan officers actually close about on average 14 loans per month versus the industry standard, which is roughly around 6 to 7 based off of the MBA and Strathmore's analysis. And then from a time saving perspective, we ran a really cool survey amongst our customer base and asked for how much time saving do they have across the various different components. And on average, from beginning from app to close, we see about 11 hours savings, which is pretty significant. So there's definitely a lot of benefit there.
Yeah, and I'll make a quick plug for blend.com/customers. For any of you that want to take a look at some real life examples of lenders using Blend and finding those great success stories, on our website, we have a list of customers that have done case studies with us. You can see some more information that backs up what Nico was talking about.
I appreciate you referencing that too. I'll definitely make sure we incorporate that in the follow-up correspondence to our attendees, as well as I'll make sure we drop in their recording links to Nico and I's prior tech talk discussions that you go right in there and kind of see some of these client use case examples that those working with Blend are experiencing already.
Yeah, and we talked about this, Tom, in the previous tech talk, which was, from a Blend perspective, customers that were using us pre-pandemic versus, that came to us post, like in the midst of the pandemic. The ones that came to us pre-pandemic were able to scale their operations to 3x in some cases without adding any additional staff. So definitely, it was really phenomenal to see, the Blend solution really pressure tested in the COVID environment and in that surge that we saw.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just thinking, now having Blend Close available to your clients in addition to this co-pilot functionality. I mean, you brought up a great example of going through closing documents together. Anybody who's been in a loan officer or LPA position in the past can certainly think of a scenario where a client maybe is confused by something they're seeing in the docs or doesn't agree with it and wants to go back on that at the time of signing. And when you can, be able to review with them uniformly in real time, it can definitely alleviate some potential issues, let alone, what you highlighted as far as the time savings and the multipliers of productivity originators can experience. I mean, your functionality can be a great recruitment tool for lenders as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I don't have any additional questions coming in at this point. Gentlemen, I'll leave it to you if we have any final remarks you want to impart, but Nico, Ryan, I want to thank you both again for really the valuable insights and a great presentation of the LO toolkit and the LO application as well today from Blend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom. We really appreciate the time and to be able to go through this with you.
Definitely. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, TMC, and thanks everybody for tuning in. And feel free to reach out, LinkedIn. Let's connect, keep the conversation going.
I love it. Well, appreciate it again, guys. Hope you both have a great afternoon, and thanks for everybody for attending in today, and hope you guys have a great close to your week.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks. See ya.